Hey crafters, it's Maymay, and today we are making a mixed media Christmas canvas. And you're probably thinking, wait, you've done this before. I have. But that video, I used some music that was not allowed on YouTube, and I was still learning at the time when I did that. So I had to take all audio off of it. And so many people have asked me to redo it. That's exactly what we're doing today. So this video you'll get to see with audio. Alright, so here's what you're going to need. This is a 16 by 20 canvas, which is a really big canvas. That's why you're not seeing all of it in the screen. This is the top of it, and I'm about 2 inches out of screen that you can't see, but we're going to work at it because I think you'll still be able to get the gist of what we're doing. Alright, Baptist hymnal, this is what I'm going to be using for my background paper, and I know that this makes people cringe sometimes, but I got this hymnal just for this purpose. Now, if you don't care for ripping pages out of old hymnals, you can always just copy the paper, or nowadays, there are so many places that have like printable music or downloadable paper that you can do it that way and you won't have to rip up a hymnal. I just love this. It means a lot to me to look at it and see actual hymnal paper. That's just me. I don't know. Everybody may not feel that way. Okay, so I've got my paper all done up. And see these rough edges? I'm leaving those. Last time I did this, I cut those off, but I really like them, so I'm leaving them there. You're going to need some Mod Podge or something like it. You can make your own Mod Podge if you don't want to go purchase any. I'm sure that there are recipes all over the place for that. I actually think it's 2 parts white glue to 1 part water. But there's recipes everywhere. Okay, so I'm just putting my brush into the Mod Podge, and I'm going to use a lot of it. And I'm going to put these book pages down. Now, if I had Christmas songs, I would use it. But I used all my Christmas song paper in the first one. So I actually have used every bit of the Christmas songs from that hymnal at some point in time. So we will just use regular hymn songs, which will still be good because we're going to cover it with Christmas trees, or at least do a grouping of Christmas trees, and that'll let you know that it's definitely a Christmas themed canvas. Alright, so here's what we're doing. We are just gluing down paper with Mod Podge, and this is a simple process, and what I love about this is the wrinkles that we're going to get in the paper. So as you're doing this and your paper starts to wrinkle, don't panic. That's what we want. We like wrinkles in our Mod Podge, or at least I do. Some folks, one of the things they don't like about Mod Podge is the wrinkle, but I love it. I think it really adds to it. And we're going to be inking the canvas up in a little bit, so that's going to make it look even better with all those wrinkles. Alright, so I'm going to go around and cover this entire canvas with pages and with Mod Podge and then the pages. Now, something I'm doing, I want you to notice, I'm also Mod Podging on top of the paper. Another question I've gotten before about this canvas is, what kind of Mod Podge am I using? I'm using a glossy finish on this one, but you don't have to. You could certainly just use a matte finish, or actually any of the Mod Podges that are available to you will work. Just glue it down. Alright, I'm going to get all these stuck down. I'm going to let them dry, and then we're going to get back together to work on the inking part. So here we go. I got the music paper on now, and so now it's time to start doing the inking that I want to do, because I want to give it some distressed ink, or just kind of some, where you can see where the paper's more wrinkled and things like that. I have this very dried out stays on ink pad that I'm going to use. It is very, very old, but I like that it stays on, and I'm not looking for like a solid coverage anyway, so I'm just going to get what I can get off of it and then just kind of go to town hitting these spots. Do you see how that kind of hits the stamped spots? I mean the wrinkled spots. It's also very loud because it's on this Mod Podge, so I'm sorry for the squeakiness, but I'm just going to kind of hit these places and kind of show off those wrinkles. Just so you know, I've done one of these before using Distress ink, and it does not work as well on the Mod Podge. It did eventually dry, but it takes a really long time to dry, and you know that ink is a water-based ink, and so I'm afraid that it might smear off if it ever gets wet, so that's why I went to the stays on this time. So that's about all I'm going to do, because I just wanted to knock it back just a little bit just to show off some of those wrinkles and things that we were working with. Now for the fun part, we're going to use some papers. Now here's how I chose my papers. I went through a paper pad and pulled out some of my favorites, and then I went through other papers in my stash and just kind of lined them up that matched. So let me show you what I ended up with here. So it's going to be kind of hard to see against this backdrop. But these are the pages that I'm going to use for my trees. Now the last one I did, the pages were different than this. They were more red and maybe even more black. I'll link that video, by the way. It just doesn't have me talking in it. Alright, so these are the ones I'm going to use for the tree. I may not use this one. This one, when I'm looking in the camera, stands out a little bit. I like this blend better, so I think I'm going to get rid of that star. But I thought these would be really cool. And I really love this plaid, and I'm thinking I might want it to be the center tree. So I'm going to pull that one out. And the reason I'm going to start with the center tree is because this is going to be the one that gives me my height. This is going to tell me, you know, it's going to determine the rest of the trees. And I actually want to use the entire height of this 12 by 12 paper. And here's how I do it. And you can do this any way you want to, but I'm going to freehand a big, tall, cone-shaped tree. So there's part of it. And then I'm just going to come back from this point and cut down to the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect, just if you can get it close. And then I'm just going to cut this little white piece off because we don't want that on there. So just like that, that's going to be a tree. And then save these. If you're making multiples, you can use these for trees as well. So we got one done. Now the next one I want to do, or the next ones, are going to be shorter. So I want to remember that. I want to move this one down about like this. So what I'm going to do is cut an end off of this paper, because this is also 12 by 12. And this is a way to use up your scraps too, because these are scrap pieces that I'm using. Then I'm going to cut this piece into a tree. Really, just freehand this. Just have fun with it. Does not need to be perfect. You don't need to measure out these triangles. Nothing. You're just making the shape of trees. So see, now this one will be staggered in height. Okay. So now we'll do another one. Don't worry about the fact that they seem to be blended in, because we're also going to ink these. I think I'm going to put this green on the other side. And I want it to be kind of that same height, but I'm just going to cut some of this 12 by 12 off here to get me down to height, and then make us a nice tree. I still have this, my original one of these. I love it. I hang it up every year. I bought a big frame to put it in from, I think, Hobby Lobby last year, and I love it. Alright, so there's a couple of trees. Now let's put some red in now. And I tell you what, I'm going to go from up here and see how tall we get from using this piece. Try to get all of that I can out of there. Using these longer scissors is really cool for this too, because you get such a long slice. It makes it easy. Let's put some red on the other side too. And let's see how long we want this one to be. I'm just going to cut a piece at an angle to start with. They also don't need to be the same, you know, width. You can have some taller, thinner ones. Let's do this one kind of thin. Let's just see what we end up with there. That looks good. So we got another tree there. And then let's use this black. I kind of want it in the front and a little bit shorter, obviously, because it is a much smaller piece of paper. So let's see. Let's go from this end and see how much we can get. Something like that, I think. Might even make that one shorter than that. I'm going to cut some of it off. About 1/2 inch. Alright, and I've got one more piece of paper here. And I'm going to put this tree out here on this side, and it's going to be this Merry and Bright paper. I'm just going to cut one, and then I can adjust the height as I need to. So that's cool. So if we lay these out something like this, these will look really good on our page. I think that's going to work. I may even come back after we get these done and add some smaller trees. Or last time, I even went in and added some more if I felt like I needed them. But I think this is going to work. Okay, so I'm going to pick them up. This is my top tree. Then this one. Then it's this one. Really doesn't matter because you're just going to lay them back where you want them anyway. I'm just kind of picking them up based on how I cut them. And then let's ink these guys. I'm going to move this out of the way. Now this time on the ink, I'm going to use Vintage Photo Distress ink. And this is a pretty wet pad, actually. We're going to go from a really dry one to a really wet one. But that's going to be good because I want to be able to see the inking on these trees really well, because that's what's going to make them pop off that background. Because you could see how they were kind of blending in together. So I'm being very heavy with this time. So you can see how heavy I went with that inking. It's almost like outlining it. And that's what we want to do, because we want it to really pop off of each other. So I'm going to do that to all the trees real quick. One thing you want to make sure is that you have your song or your sheet pages facing the right direction. Make sure we're going upward with that. Now here's what I did on my original. I had some flat and then some lifted. So I'm going to decide that my flat pieces, and I feel like this is going to be a flat piece. I think it'll work really well flat back there. So you can Mod Podge this or use whatever glue you want to use. I'm going to use this sticky tape that I get from Punch Place Plus because I love it. It is super sticky and I won't have to worry about it. But I am going to use a good bit because I want this to last for a long, long time. So I'm going to be very generous with this tape so that I can know it's going to stick down good. I don't want to use Mod Podge because I don't want it to wrinkle. I want the wrinkles to be in the background, not in the forefront. I'll put a link to this tape below too, by the way. Okay, now then, let's take that backer off. Okay, so I've exposed all that adhesive, and now I'm just going to stick this into place where I want it, somewhere like this. And I'm not really shooting for exact center, like I said. I don't mind if it's a little off center. Awesome. Now then, let's decide the two we're going to put beside it. I think I want them to be the two larger ones. One goes out here, and one somewhere like this. I think you were actually in here. Let's do that. Let's do you out here. Because those I'm going to put down flat. So I'm going to go ahead and put the sticky tape on these and stick these down too. Now that I've got those three flat ones down, I'm going to start working with dimensional ones. And I'm going to use this foam tape, which is like a 3M, I think it's 3M or Scotch adhesive, same thing, 3M and Scotch. I'm going to use this foam tape and put the rest of these guys down. I was like, I'm missing one. There he is. And what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to bring some down and some up, just depending. And these first ones I put down are going to have one layer of the foam tape. And this is the thicker foam tape anyway. So these are going to get one layer. Then the second ones I put down are going to get a double layer. So we'll have flat, dimensional, and then double dimensional. So I'm just going to add this foam tape onto the back of our tree. This is really sticky foam tape too, by the way. I really like it. It was sent to me from a subscriber, and I've had the hardest time trying to find a link to it. But it is like 1/8 of an inch thick. It's really thick. It might even be slightly thicker than that. And I just love how rich and thick it is. It's actually called mounting tape on the package it came in. Okay, so this one's going to go a little low. So I'm going to start at the bottom with it and then just push it down. So now I've got a nice dimension between those two. I'm going to do the same thing to this guy. All right, and I'm going to put him, I'm looking at my camera too to kind of help me get my points about right. I'll let him come down just a wee bit. Stick that one into place. All right, so now I'm going to put this guy in this area and maybe that guy there. And then I may cut one more skinny one for here. I don't know. Do I want to do that? Do I just want to put one in the middle? No, I like them off to the side like this. Alright, so I'm going to do... I kind of like that one right there and that one right there. And then maybe do a thin one here or even a wider one. Yep, I like that. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do here. I can put one strip of adhesive behind here and then just a strip here. And that may be what I do and just glue it to the front one here. The reason I may do that is a couple reasons. To save foam adhesive for one thing. And also because that's just a good way to make sure it all stays in place. I'm going to cut this down the middle and make it a little thinner. Go. Put this down. Okay, so this side will be the one that's lifted up. See if Yep. And across the bottom. You just kind of have to see where your foam's going to land so you know where to put it. So let's put that back into place. That feels good. And then I'll just glue it here. This glue I'm using is some Collal tacky glue, and this comes from my friend Gareth's store. I'll leave his link below too. I think that will work good. Peel off this backer. And then put this guy down. Thinking about like that. That's good. And then we'll put this guy right here. I'm going to use this piece I've already got cut here to get me started. Cut another piece off and cut it in half. With the exception of the drying time for the Mod Podge, this is a very fast project or gift if you wanted to give it to somebody. You could make this super quick and easy. Alright, let's see which side. So it is this side that will be stuck to the canvas itself. So we want to put the foam tape on that side. Yes, and across the bottom. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and peel this off real quick. And I'm going to put a tiny piece at that top section. Just so that it'll stick good. Go back to that tacky glue. Awesome. I like how it looks so far. You guys can barely see the bottom, but you can kind of see it there. Alright, I think I want another tree, but I'm not sure. Let me look at it for a minute. So I went on the hunt and I found this little tree, or this little paper, and I really think it's cute here. It's actually from the same paper pack most of this paper comes from, so it really pulls in most of the colors, and that's what really works in the middle for me. Now I'm going to add some foam tape to it. I'm going to put that tree right in the middle, just like so. Cool beans. Okay, so we got our trees down. So now I have these snowflakes that are made from paper, and they're just some embellishments. And I don't have the original packaging, so I can't tell you who made them, but I've had them for a really long time. And they have a little sticky pad on the back, but I don't really trust it. So I'm adding some of that tacky glue to the back. And so that way I know it will stay in place. And what I'm doing with these is making these tree toppers. So I'm just putting them down where I want them. And that little sticky pad is going to help hold them in place while that tacky glue dries. So I'm just kind of alternating the sizes. I'm going to put a fairly big one out here. And you could do anything you wanted for these tree toppers. I just think the snowflakes looked really cute on the last one I did, so I thought I'd do it again. I wish I had those same snowflakes, but I have a few, but not enough of that one. They were so pretty. But these are going to work. And I'm going to do something on this canvas I never do. And we're going to do that in just a second. So I'm going to finish gluing these snowflakes down, and we'll get right back together. So I got all the snowflakes down, so our tree topper are done. And now I'm going to use some art glitter glue and glitter. I know, I've lost my mind, but I think this iridescent shiny glitter will be so pretty on here. It's actually a big chunky thick glitter, and I'm going to try it. I'm going to come inside the tree just a little bit, about 1/4 of an inch, and do like a tracing of that tree with a fairly thick piece of glue. I took my tip off of this because I want it to be fairly thick to hold this glitter. I think this will help give us a little more sparkle. I'm going to push that into that glue so a good bit of it will stick. I think that'll be pretty to have a little extra sparkle. Some of these papers are kind of really matte, and I think a little extra glitter will be pretty. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to do this on all the trees. Let's do another one. I'm just coming in about 1/4 of an inch or a little bit more from the edge of that tree. Doing a fairly thick strip of glue down both sides and across the bottoms. And then I'm just going to put this glitter into it and let it dry. Now this is the last thing I'm going to do to the trees. After this, it'll be done. So I'm going to do all of this, let it dry overnight, shake off the glitter, and then we'll be done, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like. So there you go, guys. That's the finished project. Look at that with the glitter. Can you see the shimmer on the trees? I like that. But as I was doing this project, I got to thinking, nowadays you can buy those battery-operated LED lights. Wouldn't it be pretty if in between or inside of each one of these, you ran one of those Christmas lights from underneath? I think that'd be so pretty to have these guys sparkling. They do have a little bling in the middle, but I still think that'd be so pretty. Alright guys, I hope this helped you out for those of you that were wanting the video done with the wording again, with me explaining what I was doing. And if you make one of these, please head over to our Facebook group, Maymay Made It and So Did I, and share your creations. Thanks so much guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.